Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the ARM Annual 2020 Client Forum. Um, Ordinarily, would have liked to have done this physically, but as we're all aware, the novel pandemic COVID-19 has caused us to have to do social distancing. I'll quickly run you through the agenda for today before we take the national anthem, and then I hand you over to my executive director, who will be taking you through the welcome address. So essentially today, what we have outlined is we're going to be taking you through what we call the Retire Ready platform, essentially trying to learn how we can prepare for tomorrow. In addition, we have our partners from Redcare who will be giving us tips on what we need to do to stay healthier, especially at this time. We have our regulators with us who would also be giving us a few tidbits. We'll also be speaking to you how you can reach us. We'll be talking to you on how you can access your benefits at retirement, and essentially all of that. So I won't take you through the entire agenda, but this is just to welcome you. At this point, we'll be taking the national anthem before our ED welcomes you. Thank you. Our Executive Director, Abisola Onibogi, will be giving us the welcome address. Also, kindly look at your screen. You should have a Q&A icon. If at any point in time you have any question you want to ask, kindly send it through. We have a dedicated team that will respond to all your questions as you come along. Thank you. I'll be handing over to our ED right now.
Good morning, everybody. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the first of its kind, a virtual client forum. These are indeed interesting times, you must agree with me. At the beginning of the year, nobody thought that in planning, in budgeting, and in execution, this is how we would execute our forum for this year. This is in line with the tradition that we've done over the last couple of years, and we've taken the forum across the country to reach our customers, to bring you up to date on what are pertinent issues in the industry and where we think they're going, to also take on board your views and your suggestions that will help to make servicing you better. However, despite what we've seen in the past couple of months, this format has changed, which is why we've brought the forum to you online. It is our expectation that in spite and despite of this, we will be able to make the best of the situation. Those communications that we look forward to sharing with you, we'll be able to pass them on, and the feedback which you've so graciously given us in the past, you will continue to give them to us to help us improve how we serve you better. On this note, I welcome you once again to our 2020 Client Forum, and I wish you the very best in the celebrations as the forum goes ahead. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Abisola, for that welcome address. At this time, we'll be calling on Larry Duroju, who will be taking us through the session of Retire Ready. This is essentially a time where you'd want to prepare yourselves for retirement. So Larry, kindly come in and take your presentation. Thank you very much.
All right. Good morning to all our esteemed clients. We'd like to thank you for logging on to this session, this virtual client forum that we are having, the first of its kind. Sorry for the technical issues. I'm sure we'll resolve that. So we'll just move on to the business of the day. This is very important. For us as a PFA, we are not just concerned with getting your money or your contributions and just living. By the time you retire, we just tell you, okay, this is how much you've contributed, and we'll just give it to you, whether you are achieving your aim or your goals or not. We are not a PFA like that. We are interested in your well-being. We are interested in ensuring that you actually being able to achieve those goals or those dreams that you might have, whether now and even at the time of retirement. So this is essentially what this session is going to talk about how we are ready to partner with you to ensure that you have a better tomorrow that we hope that you would have at the time of retirement. So we'll be essentially discussing retirement planning. What is it all about? We've had people who are retired, and at the time they retire, they discover that, oh, the amount they're going to be getting as monthly pension is so low, or it's nothing compared to what they think would be ideal for them to be able to maintain their lifestyle at the time of retirement. And we thought at that point also that we don't want to leave our clients to have this kind of regret at that stage. And what can they do, even while they are still working right now? How can they change that dynamic at the time, rather than wait till the time of retirement and realize that they cannot achieve their retirement goals? So we then came up with this process and also embarked on an enlightenment campaign to people, especially our clients, to let them know what this is all about, what they need to do, and how we are also ready to partner with them in ensuring that they're able to achieve the retirement that they plan for or that they dream of. So essentially, retirement planning is not a big deal, and it's not something that is reserved for whether you are rich or you are poor. Everybody needs it. If you are rich, you need to be able to optimally engage your assets or your resources so that you can get the best out of what you have. And even if you might feel, oh, I don't really have much, I don't have a house, I don't have a car or whatever, even the little that you have right now, you can plan around it such that you can then have a time of abundance at the time of retirement, such that you can then live a life that you want to live at that time. So retirement planning is simply taking a mental journey into the future, a sneak peek into the future, to say, this is how I want to live my life. These are the things I want to achieve. This is how I'll be spending my retirement. So highlighting those goals, those retirement goals, then you now come back to your present situation, to present day environment, to say that, what are the things I need to do to be able to achieve those goals? Just for an illustration, if you are traveling from Abuja to Kaduna, you can actually estimate to say that, okay, between Abuja and Kaduna is about 100 kilometers. And if you are driving a car, if you need to be there in probably 2 hours, then the speed limit, you need to calculate, okay, at what exact speed do you need to travel that will ensure that you are there in 3 hours. If you need to be there in 1 hour, you know that you have to change your mode of transportation because of the limitation that you have, probably traveling on the road, and which will take you another a 3 hours journey. So all of that, because you've already determined where you are going to, what it will take you to get there, and what time it would take you to get there, then you're able to say that, oh, this is the mode of transportation I need to use. So it plays out in terms of retirement too. So what you are hoping to get at the time of retirement determines the actions that you want to take at this moment. So, and there are 4 key activities that we need to engage in. Number 1 is to identify our sources of income. What are the where are we going to be getting our funds from? Is it only from your pension account? Do you have other businesses that will be used to supplement what you get from your pension account? And so essentially, your retirement plan is not just your retirement savings account, because people will say, I have a retirement savings account. Why are you talking to me about retirement planning again? Your retirement savings account is just one of the sources of income that you should look at the time of retirement. Then secondly, you need to estimate your expenses. What are the things that you spend money on? And even at that time of retirement, how will you spend your life? How would you spend your retirement? Would you be traveling? Can you estimate exactly in naira and kobo, or in dollar amount, how much you'll be spending on each of the things that you'll be doing, either on food, traveling, home expenses, and every other thing. So you need to be able to estimate that for you to be able to know whether you are in line or not. Then thirdly, you need to manage your assets. Managing assets does not mean that you are just accumulating assets. Number one, managing assets means that you are, whatever resources you are having, it must be in line with your risk profile. Risk profile is in the sense that how much risk can you take? Then you also need to balance that with how liquid your investments are, because it doesn't amount to, retirement planning is not all about you accumulating assets such that maybe at the end of the day you have a house or in asset that is worth say about 200 million, and there's a need for you to access or use 20 or 30 million for something very important or very necessary at a particular point in time. But because of the illiquid nature of that particular asset, you're unable to access that 20 million, even though you have an estate that is worth 200 million. So all of that needs to be adequately fashioned out in a way that you are not jeopardizing the future for the present and vice versa. So that is all about you being able to spread your assets and hold assets that are in line with your risk profile or your life stage, as it were. Then it's also important that you have a savings plan. All of that will then collapse into you having a plan or a program that ensures that whatever funds come into your hands, you already have a portfolio that tells you, oh, 20% goes into this kind of asset, 40% goes into this kind of asset. Perhaps you also want to hedge against inflation or foreign exchange risk and things like that. So you need to have a portion that will probably go into dollar-denominated investment or offshore investment. So once you have that, you are sure that once money comes into your hands, it will be used or allocated along that line. Because that's some of the reasons why some of us, because we don't have a plan when money comes into our hands, because we didn't plan for it, maybe like a lump sum that we are really not expecting. Before you know it, the money is gone because we didn't have a plan to actually know that if any one naira comes to my hands or if any $1 comes to my hand, this is how I'm going to spread it across my portfolio. So I think the major objective for this, as we move to the next slide, is for us to be able to live a life of financial freedom. So you asking the questions as to when do I want to retire? Where do I want to live by the time I retire? What are the things I'm going to be doing at the time of retirement? And what are the things in terms of assets, what are the things will I have in my portfolio or in my estate or in my net worth as at that particular time? So all those questions, you asking yourself and providing necessary answers, is essentially geared towards you having a life of financial freedom, such that you are not depending on anyone. And the reason why that is very important, that is, you are not depending on anyone, is the real essence of why we need to actually plan for retirement. Number one, you can't work forever, so your employer will not be paying you forever. So you have to plan till the time when your employer will say that, oh, thank you, you've spent 60 years, or you have spent 30 years or 35 years in our service, you can begin to go. Some of you, as it is right now, you already know the time that your employer is going to tell you that you should go. So every one of us, that is a clear indication that even if you are willing to work, you have the ability, your employer will not keep you forever, except in it's your own private business and all of that. So now those are the reasons, those are the things that need to be considered, and then say, okay, as at that time when I'm not able to get salary from my regular employment, what will I be doing to ensure that I'm able to sustain myself at the time of retirement? Another thing is that there's worsening life expectancy. Of course, in Nigeria, we know that that is something of concern. So that is one of the reasons why you actually have to think about planning for your retirement, because time is going. You won't say that I will do that tomorrow, or I will do that in 2 years time when I'm retiring. So because we also call this retirement planning, does not mean that it's something you do at the time of retirement. In fact, for in the military world, they say that the time to prepare for war is when there is peace. So you don't wait till when the war starts before you start preparing yourself. As we know it, that army has already lost the battle. So I mentioned earlier, it's to mitigate financial hardship. So that is one of the essential reasons why planning for retirement is very important. If you also look at the context of Nigeria, Social Security is not something that is predominant. Aside from the contributory pension scheme, you don't have any other scheme to support people who are retired. And so planning for your retirement is essentially able to help you to articulate the things that you want to do at the time of retirement, and then you taking the bull by the horn by yourself and not leaving your destiny in the hands of the government or any other individual who are also trying to stand by themselves. So you are able to adequately plan for yourself rather than relying on the government or the economic system to support you at the time of retirement. This would also, like I said, help you to achieve financial freedom and independence, and ultimately help you to achieve or actualize your goals or your dreams and self-fulfillment. So just to quickly take us the process of the planning itself. So essentially, number one, from what I've said earlier, take a sneak peek into the future, 10 years time, 20 years down the line. How do you picture yourself? What are the things you'll be doing? What are your goals? What are your income goals? How much do you think will sustain you at the time of retirement? All of that, you need to pen them down and then gather information as to what you will need to be able to achieve that. So for example, maybe you feel at the time of retirement you are going to be a consultant, you are into a specialized business that you want to. So once you finish or you retire from where you are, you want to be doing consultancy jobs and things like that. So you then determine, okay, do I need to set up an office or do I need to do like a freelance? What are the things am I going to need? If I need to set up an office, how much will it cost? If I need to, if perhaps I want to go into agriculture, I want to set up a farm, how much will it cost? Where will I set it up? What kind of products do I want to go into? Do I want to do poultry or crop farming or whatever it is? So all of that, you need to put naira and kobo to it, such that you are able to then also determine the assumptions or the factors that are going to probably affect it. For example, inflation. If you are going to be importing things from outside Nigeria, you want to have an idea of what the foreign exchange rate is going to be for you to, because if you are transacting in naira and all of that. So putting all of that together, then you now analyze and also placing it side by side with what you have right now, or the things that where you currently are in terms of the financial resources that you have. Are you able to, based on the rate you are going, are you able to achieve those things? So that is where analysis comes in. Then you now say that I need 500 million in 5 years time, but I have 20 million now. Based on the rate of my contribution or what I'm doing right now, I will only achieve 200 million, which means I have a gap of 300 million in that 5 years time. So what do I need to do right now to ensure that I can achieve that 500 million in that 5 years time? So, and that will then lead you to where you now develop a plan. So you itemizing those things, the specific steps that you need to do or to carry out to ensure that you achieve those goals, that is the active step of drawing up the plan. Then after drawing up the plan, you go to the implementation stage. There's no point drawing up a plan if it doesn't have any implementation to it, because it's going to be a futile activity or exercise if it's not put into practice. So then you put it into practice. We've done something like this for some of our clients, and the testimony or the feedback has been great. And so once you do that, and it's also a dynamic document such that you are not boxed into whatever you are, because we understand that things changes. For example, you have used inflation. What if inflation changes, if the outlook for inflation changes, or perhaps for the foreign exchange outlook, and some factors or things that you have assumed in the plan itself, as those things begin to change, or perhaps you were not married when you did the plan. Now you are married, you have 2 kids. Of course, you have to plan for the education of the children and how the family is going to be good in case there's any eventualities. So as those things changes, as your circumstances changes, you would actually have to review and then go back to the first step, determine what your goals are again, and begin the whole process again. So it's like a cycle that you need to engage in. And what we have now done, because many people see this as a very complex process of, oh, how am I going to be able to do all of this? How do I get all those assumptions? How do I know inflation? How do I know this? How do I know how much I need to set up a farm? How do I need to do all of this? So what we have done is to come up with a simplified process, because we are really eager for everybody to live a retirement that they want for themselves, and not we don't want to leave anything to chance, because for us, we believe that is very essential. That is the reason why you are you are working today. And if you now retire and you're unable to achieve those dreams, then we don't want it to be a wasted effort. So we came up with a simplified process, which we call the Walk into Tomorrow, which is simply a practical journey into the future to ensure that you are able to achieve your retirement, your desired retirement lifestyle. So if you go to this platform, you'll be seeing the URL shortly. If you go to the platform, what you will do, and that platform is, you can use it on any device, either on your mobile, on your laptop, on your system. It's friendly with across all the different devices. What that platform will do for you is to ask you some basic questions about yourself. So you answer questions concerning your how old you are right now, what you are contributing right now, do you have children, and things like that. And moving on from there, it will ask you how much risk you can take, because we don't want this to be a one cap fits all approach, such that we just give something generalized. So this is going to be personalized to you based on your own circumstances. The platform is going to give you a report that is suitable to your own particular situation. So the risk profiling, to ask you some questions about how much risk you can take. Then it will also ask you how you will live your life at the time of retirement. So as you answer those questions, the platform is going to generate a report to you, a simplified report, which is on the next slide, that tells you some general information about yourself, whether you are in line. It's like you going to the doctor and you provide your they will ask you, take your temperature, take all your basics and things like that. And based on that, they are able to tell you, oh, you need to work on this, do some more exercises, you need to eat this kind of food and all of that. So it will give you a snapshot of what we think based on the information that you have provided. So it's something that is simplified, tailored to the situation of the user based on the information that is provided. And perhaps this platform has already been up for a while, and perhaps you now need something that is more rigorous and considers several other things that you also want us to involve. That's this platform, because we condensed the whole of the retirement process into this to ensure that at least everybody, regardless of your class, regardless of your situation, you can do this in 5 minutes. In less than 5 minutes, you can actually get your report. Less than 5 minutes, you can actually get your report. But if you now want something that is more detailed and more comprehensive, that takes care of everything that's about you, your estate planning, insurance planning, how you want to structure your investment, and every other thing, you want to start a business, you need a feasibility report as to, you want to know how much you'll be able to gain or achieve in terms of profit from such businesses and things like that. You have different assets, houses, how do you optimize, and all of that. So we have a comprehensive planner that we are also engaging. I mentioned earlier that we've done something like that for some of our clients, and the feedback has been very has been mind blowing. So if you now want something like that, we can then sit down with you. We have dedicated relationship officers who will sit down with you and take those feedback from you, take the information from you, information about your assets, the things that you own, what are the things you are looking at in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, and then put it all together and develop a plan that you can actually now that become a working document that you can start working with from today, so that you can achieve that life, that desired lifestyle that you want to achieve at the time of retirement. So, so this is all we have done. So for you to go through the platform, that's the WIT, which is the simplified approach, not the comprehensive platform. So if you go to wit.armpension.com right now, if you punch that on your phone, it will take you to that platform. And even before I finish this, we finish this conversation, you already have your report. So want to thank you for listening. If there are questions, we will actually take them during the question and answer session, and you can actually type your question using the question and answer icon right now. Thank you so much for listening. I will hand you over to Benga for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larry. To very concise. I think, like you have said, Hugh fails to plan, plans to fail. So essentially, everybody should take up a financial plan immediately. At this point, I would like to call on Mr. Raphael Ahanonu, one of our esteemed clients from Shell, who would like to share with you some of his testimonies regarding this plan. So I'm welcoming Mr. Raphael at this time to please join us and share his testimonial with us. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Confirm you can hear me and probably also see.
We can hear and see you, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, and thanks everyone for joining this call. So I'm a client to ARM, and just to share a bit of my experience. So I got on board ARM as far back as 2004, thereabouts, in my previous employment. Then, of course, the Pension Act just came out and all that, and every employer was required to get on board. So the company I worked for then, of course, gave us the options. And after evaluating the various PFAs available, I eventually decided on ARM, and I've not regretted that decision till date. And even when I left that employment and joined my current employer, I still looked forward to a time, because my current employer, of course, had a closed pension scheme, and I couldn't just continue it immediately, but I still longed for an opportunity. And when I found out that I could do that through the AVC, Additional Voluntary Contribution, I immediately signed on. And to say the truth, it's been a good choice, a good decision I made, because gradually I've been able to watch my contributions grow. And I think another major good part to ARM overall is the relationship they establish with their clients. So along the line, of course, I got assigned to a relationship manager, Chenede, and we got talking on phone. And after a while, of course, we got to see face to face and, basically discuss how I could enhance what I was doing. Prior to that time, also I'd, of course, seen the online Working Tomorrow, just like Larry talked about, and I tried it out myself, and I must tell you, it's a good tool, very easy, very flexible. It asks you a series of questions, simple questions, and you just provide the answers. And at the end of the day, it gives you, a report, you know. And when I did that, I was happy with what I saw, and that boosted me further. So I discussed this with my relationship manager, Uchenna, and we decided to take it a bit further by drawing up a comprehensive retirement plan. And you know, we sat down over a round table, a couple of questions. Some I could answer on the fly, some I couldn't, you know, but we agreed, okay, I'll look for the relevant information. And at the end of the day, it took a couple of meetings, but at the end of the day, I got a financial plan delivered to me. And I can tell you, it was a good plan. And just like we said or heard over and over, if you don't plan, then you are planned to fail. So looking at that plan, you know, it was simple and flexible, and there were things practical that I could do. Basically, my key points were how I will ensure I give my children quality education, both now that I'm still working and after I stopped working. And that was an integral part of that plan. And following that plan, I can see gradually that I can confidently achieve that goal. Suffice to say, my first child would be, we're barring this COVID situation, should actually be entering university this year. And the good news is that at least I'm prepared for it. And this, having this retirement plan, you know, even while working, has enabled me, you know, to prepare, at least be on my toes and have the necessary resources to be able to see his education through. Beyond that, other things that they've been provided. One key one for me is the online platform. You know, it's flexible. I can log in, monitor my investments, monitor my contributions, see how it's growing. And it's wonderful to note that even this year, with all the COVID and all that, the investments continue to grow. I was actually worried at the onset of the pandemic. I called Uche and I told him, hey, I hope my investment will not just disappear and become zero. And I'm sure many of you also have that kind of concern. But the good news is that has not happened. It has not become zero. Rather, it has continued to grow and continue to grow. And I hope it does remain like that. Overall, my experience with the retirement planning has been good. I've benefited from it. I want to encourage anyone who is here to do so. Take out time to do it. Probably you want to start with the online version first and just convince yourself that it's something worth doing. Then you can now take it further into a more comprehensive plan. And for me, it was practically, I'm sure normally it would cost some money to do this, probably if you hire an accountant or any other professional. But I got this service delivered for free based on the fact that I'm a client. And I believe many of you should be able to get that same benefit as well. So overall, good product they are offering, and I will just encourage anybody to jump in, and I'm sure you will not regret it. Maybe I want to stop here to allow others time, and I'm still in the call. If there's opportunity to probably ask me any question, I should be able to offer and oblige. Thank you. I hand over back to you, Benga.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Raphael. I almost felt at some point you were an ARM staff.
That's what relationship can do.
Yeah, so clearly, ARM has done a good job. Thank you very much for that insightful speech. I think also for clients and non-clients, I think suffice to say that the platform is free. So whether you're a client or you're not our client, we will not be charging you for it. If you meet any of our relationship managers, we will sit down with you, have that discussion, and set you up for free. So without taking too much of your time, because Mr. Raphael has done a great job about speaking about it, so I wouldn't be taking you through. But if there are questions you want to ask, please kindly drop them in the Q&A button on your screen and will kindly respond. I'm calling on Ayo Majoro right now, who'll be taking us through the benefits presentation and also try to distinguish between programmed withdrawal and annuity. Thank you again.
Yes, thank you, Gbenga. It's been a wonderful session thus far, and I want to also appreciate Mr. Raphael for his cooperation over the years. So, well, basically, I'll be talking to us as to what do we do at the point of accessing our retirement benefits. So, what are those things that you're likely to eventually meet at that point in time? So, under the Pension Reform Act 2014, as amended, the RSA holder, upon attaining the age of 50, can actually proceed to retirement. Now, at the point of retirement, you have two options within which you can access your pension. So you can choose to retire on program withdrawal, which is you accessing your pension with your pension fund administrator, or opting for an annuity, and at which point you would have to access with a preferred insurance company who would now administer your pension. So retirees have the option of probably going for quarterly or monthly. So the option is open to each and every retiree at that point in time. And what is program withdrawal? Program withdrawal is basically you accessing your pension either on a monthly or quarterly basis over a period of time. Now, this is basically spread over an expected lifespan. So this is dependent on the age of the retiree in question. And then the PFA continues to make payments on a monthly basis to such retirees as long as we have funds in the account. While annuity is you simply accessing your pension from an insurance company. Now, the product itself is guaranteed for the first 10 years, and thereafter payment continues for life. I'll still take us through what the differences between these two products that I've mentioned, but let me briefly speak to sometimes why we have some form of differences in accessible benefits between two retirees. These has actually over the years been a point of argument or concern for retirees, that why do I earn this much and my colleague is taking that much? We've identified 5 major areas, causes where we may have these basis for differences in the accessible benefit. One of which is the age. So the age at which a retiree retires goes a long way to play a role in what he or she can access at the point of retirement. So for a younger retiree, someone retiring at the age of 50 would have the benefits spread over a longer life expectancy when you compare it to a retiree who chooses to retire at 60, 65 or 70, as we have in the case of professors and the like. So in such instances, because the life expectancy of a older retiree is shorter, their monthly earnings tends to be higher than that of a younger retiree who has a longer life expectancy. Another basis for change in the accessible or difference in the accessible benefit is the gender. So based on the WHO standards, women tend to live longer than men. So because of that, the mortality table assumes that for women, it is spread over a longer period than men. So if you're comparing the payment of a male and female that retired same day, same level, there's every possibility that because of gender, there will be difference in what they can access at the point of retirement. Also, the choice of a retiree at retirement. If a retiree decides to opt for the lump sum, which because it is optional, the retiree can decide to take a known lump sum, that it doesn't want a lump sum, opt out of it entirely, or decides to take a certain amount, not up to the maximum lump sum. For such retirees, there will be more money to spread over the life expectancy. So at that point, if you're comparing a retiree who decides to take no lump sum to somebody that took the maximum lump sum, they will have the one that took no lump sum or that did not take any lump sum would have more money, so the pension will be a lot higher than somebody who has taken part of his money as the bulk payment, which is the lump sum that I've mentioned, and so such a person will have a higher pension compared to someone that takes his or decides to access his maximum pension. Then our contribution size matters. So over the years, just like our esteemed client, Mr. Raphael, has mentioned, he aside from his regular contribution, he was also making voluntary contributions and some other things. He was also making voluntary contributions into his retirement savings account. So at the point of retirement, he's bound to have a larger size. The size of his RSA would definitely be larger than someone who was not making any form of additional contribution into the retirement savings account. So for such a retiree, you have more funds available to access at the point of retirement. And then so basically these are those reasons why we have differences in accessible benefits at the point of retiree. And then let me go back to the two choices that are available to our retirees at the point of retirement, and then in trying to compare and contrast between the two options available. Like I said before, both are recognized and approved by the National Pension Commission, and then recently National Pension Commission and then the National Insurance Commission came together and then put together the guideline that would actually ensure that annuity payouts are better regulated than it used to be. But let me briefly speak to what happens if a client decides to retire on program withdrawal. So such a client qualifies for his regular pension payment. We make our pension payment on or before the 18th day of every month, and in situations where we have 18th falling on a public holiday, we pay at the very last work day proud at such holidays. And then for someone who is on program withdrawal, you qualify for you get your statement of account at will. So there's the quarterly statement of account, which we are bound to send to each and every client on a quarterly basis. But because of our other channels with which you can reach us, you can actually access your retirement savings account at will. Then the return on investment that come into the fund of someone who is on program withdrawal belong to such retirees. So nobody is sharing your return on investment with you. So it comes back to you 100%. For every retiree who retires on program withdrawal, they get their pension arrears irrespective of when they eventually retire. So it doesn't make any difference when you are accessing, when you compare to when you actually retired. Then every retiree on program withdrawal benefit from every reform in the pension industry. As we all can attest and agree to, the pension industry seems to be the most regulated and vibrant in the country, and then we believe this will be sustained so that we don't play with the future of our senior citizens, which some of us too are aspiring to be as age comes on us. Then for everybody who is on program withdrawal, when and if death sets in, your beneficiary can have access to the retirement savings account at any point in time. So people on program withdrawal, irrespective of when death sets in, they are beneficiaries as stated in if there's a will or we ask the NOK to get in touch with the beneficiaries, and they present to us the letters of administration. So they can access the balance at any point in time. And then, just like I said, industry reforms. Anybody on program withdrawal stands to benefit from industry reform. One of such is the pension enhancement, which we've had 2 editions of it. So we've had retirees whose pension have been increased in the 1st and 2nd edition. So they tend to enjoy the benefit of the returns that is coming into their account. So these benefits are not just made available for future years, they also stand a chance to enjoy it while they are still alive. And then if you're on the program withdrawal, you have that privilege to transfer even still within the pension industry. Whilst it is possible for you to transfer from program withdrawal to annuity, that's from the pension industry to the insurance industry, you do not have that privilege to transfer from the insurance industry back into the pension industry, but you can actually still move within the pension industry. And then for us in ARN Pensions, we believe with the quality services we are having, we'll have a lot more retirees joining us because we believe our customers are king. Let me briefly take us through a scenario analysis of what happens where and if we have a case of 2 people who retired at the same age with the same RSA balance, and what happens to them 30 years after retirement. So we can see that somebody who retired on program withdrawal is on a pension of 294,687 naira when he retired with the RSA balance of 50 million, while his counterpart on that decided to opt for the annuity is earning something slightly higher than what he is earning. But let's take a look at what happens to them. Remember I said something that I made a point that the annuity product is guaranteed for the first 10 years. So once a retiree attains the 10-year anniversary on annuity, the balance is as good as 0, but his payment is guaranteed as long as he's alive. So that's the uniqueness of annuity products. For someone on program withdrawal, you keep accessing your fund as long as there's fund in your portfolio. And because the return on investment comes back to such retirees on program withdrawal 100%, there is guarantee that there will continually be fund in such portfolios for as long as the client is alive as well. But let's take a look at what happens. We did a little scenario analysis and discover that 30 years after we have been paying these 2 retirees, when Mr. James, who retired on program withdrawal, passes on 30 years after retirement, we will still have as much as 72 million naira in his account, and the beneficiaries can actually access that much. While somebody who retires on annuity, because he has already completed that cycle of 10 years that is guaranteed, the beneficiaries cannot access anything from the insurance company. So basically, that is what the 2 options you have at retirement. That is what it speaks to. By the time any of you when you're retiring and you approach us with the necessary documentation, we would provide more information, and I'm sure you'll be able to make an informed decision about your choice at retirement. So at the point of retirement, you need to provide us the documents listed above. We advise that retirees try to get in touch with us 6 months prior to their retirement. So that way, the documentation required would have been put together, and then once you are retiring, by the month after your month of retirement, you should start accessing your pension, provided all necessary documentation and funding are available in your retirement savings account. So it doesn't take so long a time. Once we have the documentations as listed, your exit letter, pay slip that covers the last 3 months so that we can establish consistency in what you are earning as you retire, the proof of age, and then proof of identity as well. So basically, those are the basic document that is required, and with that, we'll proceed to get an approval from the National Pension Commission and commence the implementation of your payments accordingly. Let me also quickly mention to us other benefit payout that is available in the contributory pension scheme. So as highlighted in the next slide, so we have something called the pre-act benefit. So this is benefit made available for clients, for employers that have contributions that predated this current Pension Reform Act. So this benefit, if moved into this scheme, can be accessed at the point of exit, separately from your contributory pension contributions. We also have what we call the 25% temporary lump sum for workers who had to leave employment for one reason or the other, and they are less than the age of 50. And such people are not able to secure any form of employment over a period of 4 months. So such workers can actually approach their pension fund administrator and access 25% of their contributions within a period of 4 months if they are yet to get into any other employment. But once they are back into employment, they should advise their new employers to proceed with the remittance into their pension fund account. So that way they are still preparing for retirement. And then we have the voluntary contribution, which can be accessed at any point in time within the guideline of the voluntary contribution. So, and part of this money can also be used to, would also be used to augment your retirement, your savings at retirement, because 50% of it will be used to augment your benefit at the point of retirement, while you can access the other 50%. So basically, this is further to ensure that you have the kind of retirement that you're looking out for. And then we have en-bloc payout for those contributors who, for one reason or the other, did not contribute beyond 550,000 naira. So the regulation guiding the schemes allows us to pay such people out of the system. But we believe the scheme is 14-15 years old now, and so definitely we'll have people that have contributed over the 550,000 naira that we're looking at for such payouts. And then we have additional lump sum contributions for contributions that came in, though meant for the period of employment, but came in when after the person has proceeded to access the retirement benefits. Such can also be accessed in addition to what the person is accessing at retirement. And of course, like I said earlier, for retirees on program withdrawal, they enjoy what we call pension enhancement, which is something that comes up periodically. Currently we are running an every 3-year cycle. So we've had the first and second editions, and then we can actually testify that as much as 15-18% of our retiree portfolio actually enjoyed pension enhancement. And based on the criteria set, each and every retiree would at one point or the other in the course of their lifetime enjoy these enhancements. So basically that is by and large what I have for you. I'll be willing and available to take on questions in as might have come up. I'll be handing us over to Benga, who will take on the next presenter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ayo, for that very detailed presentation on accessing benefits and differentiating between programmed withdrawal and annuity. Clearly, there have been a lot of questions asked, so the plan now is to take a few questions. So people have asked a lot of questions on the platform, and it'd be nice for them to hear from us. Pending the time our regulators come on board to give us some updates. So Richard will be listing out a few questions that people had asked, and then after the session, we'll take another Q&A session. So I'll be handing over to Richard now, who would answer questions that people are asking in the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benga, and thank you everyone for being here today. We're happy that you've been keeping safe and we're here together, and I hope and I'm sure that we've added value to you today. So over to the questions and answers. There are quite a number of questions, and which is very valid. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of things that they want to clarify and know about. So I'll move on to a question from Subomi. And Subomi asked, which is a very, very good question. So Subomi says, please explain the law guiding voluntary contributions as backed by the Pension Reform Act. Lots of my colleagues complain about their voluntary contributions. They say what they have to access is the expectations. Please refer to the section that back your explanation so we can explain better to internal stakeholders. So thank you very much, Subomi. So in the past, the way your voluntary contributions initially, the way it was structured is that because everything we do when it comes to your retirement planning and your contributions towards your pensions, because a lot of people think that, okay, I'm not aware, or when my employer does that, it's just part of my package. As long as I'm not receiving the cash, I might not possibly be, why should I bother? But what I always tell people is that you need to bother because this is your future. And that's why we always say one thing. We say tomorrow is looking good, because it's that tomorrow that we want to ensure looks good. Now, when voluntary contributions, when it came up as a policy, the consideration is that while you are contributing from your income and your employer is contributing from their own income too, there's a possibility that despite those contributions going in monthly, at the end of the term or the tenure, when you retire, what you have left in your balance, and when you take out your lump sum, what you have left in your balance might not, that we have to pay as your program withdrawal, as your monthly pensions, might not be enough to sustain your lifestyle as it is. And if you look at the Pencom Reform Act, as you've said, the Pension Reform Act, as you've said, the consideration is that you must not live below 50% of your current lifestyle when you retire. So what does that mean? So that means if, let's say, you are earning like 30,000 a month and that's your only income, what we're saying is that you should not live below 50% of that, which is about 170,000 thereabouts in a month. So it is very important that your contributions should be able to match up to that at that time. Now, different companies have different policies. Some companies will say, okay, I'll pay you a bulk of your income yearly as an upfront. Then what you get as your basic salary and your monthly salary is quite minimal, but you can as well go ahead and do whatever you want to do with your they call it, I think, upfront, yeah. But the implication to that is that, and I have witnessed this, is that when some people retire and they look at what they have in their RSA balance and I tell them that this is minimal, like really, how come I have this little amount? So the point is that means what we were doing, or you were doing, basically, is that you were eating yesterday's food, tomorrow's food today. That's what it means, basically, in colloquial terms. And let me explain further. So when you receive your upfront, of course, you go on projects, you do a lot of things. There'll be profits, there'll be losses, there'll be gains. But at the end of the day, what is most important, utmost important, is that when you retire and you don't have that strength to struggle or run around anymore, or you have some dreams or you have some things to achieve, do you have the capital in you that you can use to achieve those dreams or pursue those dreams? Do you have the capital and the monthly payments to sustain your lifestyle at that point in time? That is a very, very important question. So voluntary contribution was introduced because of that okay, you can as well show up your contributions That's okay. Let me say if I'm contributing 50,000 a month, and I feel at the end of the day, what I will have when I'm retiring might not be enough to pursue my dreams and shop or satisfy me in terms of my lifestyle I want to live, then I might as well add more as a voluntary contribution for my income. And that was it. And it was a very good idea. But there were, people said, should I say, not like abusing the system, but people were not really aware of what they were trying to achieve with that voluntary contribution. So you see a situation whereby someone who puts in his voluntary contribution today, and he will come and withdraw it next month. And that's how Income now came about and said, no, the idea, all the reasons why we brought about this Income Act is that we want to make sure that we do not experience old age poverty, which is the most important thing. And it exists. Old age poverty is real. There's some people that they might be angry, they're bitter. They look at it, okay, my children don't take care of me. I helped a lot of people. Nobody looks at me now. I'm retired. I used to be a big deal. That is the essence of your pensions. So give you full financial freedom. You don't need to look onto anybody before you pursue your dreams or you sustain your lifestyle. So that is why the new law now says that you cannot just arbitrarily remit contributions voluntarily and take it out. So there's not a tenor. It says that for every contribution that you put into your account, it must stay in that your RSA account for at least 2 years before you can withdraw it. Now, even as at that, because the ultimate goal is towards your retirement, and it's that when you retire, it says that you can only take out 50% of the sums that qualify. The other 50% will be applied to your RSA balance. So as at when you retire, you will notice that your balance will be, you will have achieved a piece of your aim. It will be higher. Your lump sum, it will have an effect on your lump sum, and your monthly payments, your program withdrawal, your monthly pension payments, it will have an effect on this also, and you'll be in a better position. And more or less, what we're saying is that we're trying to avoid old age poverty. So that is the reason why that new law has come up. So I agree with you, Subomi. I don't know if it's Madam Subomi or Mr. Subomi. I'm sorry.
I think. Sorry, Richard. I think Larry and Ayo also wanted to add a bit to it.
Okay.
Add a bit of. So I don't know if Ayo is there now, or whether Larry is there to share what they had said.
Okay. Yeah. I'm here. So basically, in addition to what Richard has said, the law guiding the voluntary contributions allows you. So the regulator felt people are actually abusing that law. So currently, what the law allows is that you can only access 50% of contributions that are 2 years old. So that is what is available to be accessed. So if you let me just make an example. So if you're making contributions, voluntary contributions, that's in addition to what comes into your RSA of, let's say, 50,000 naira monthly. So what happens is that 50,000 naira would be divided into two. One would be fixed for the retirement purpose. The other half will be available for contingent withdrawal. But that contingent withdrawal will only be available when it is 2 years old. And then your last withdrawal too would have been 2 years. So that's just the law guiding what you can access. So basically what you would invariably have access to will be 50% of those voluntary contributions that you have made, and then the other 50% would be merged with your retirement savings account at the point of retirement to show up your benefit at retirement. So that is basically what happens. I hope that further answers the question from the guest, Shibomi. Thank you. Okay, so while Richard is still coming up, I noticed there's an anonymous question around on retirement or loss of employment, is the ABC paid to such contributors still taxed? So voluntary contribution, the interest element is what is taxed, not the entire ABC itself. And then the other angle to it is that once your ABC have stayed in the pool, if that contribution is up to 5 years, then nothing is going to be taxed. So it becomes tax exempt entirely if the fund is available in your retirement savings account for as long as 5 years. Richard, over to you.
Thank you. So another question says, what's the guarantee that the policy won't change? That's the policy on pension administration won't change with a change in government. So I think I'll take that. So the thing is, as someone had rightly said when the person asked the question initially, it's there's a pension reform act, you know, and when you say it's an act, that means it has been passed through law, right? So you have to go through the House and all that. So there are hoops and there are hurdles that you have to jump through. You can't just change it arbitrarily. So the thing is, a change of government does not necessarily mean that policies will just change haphazardly, right? Because there's an act that governs this, everything we do as a PFA, for the custodians, even PENCOM, they have to act according to what the act says. So for you to now decide, okay, this is what the direction that we want to move to, or this is what we want to do next, then it has to pass through the law also. So which means that it's going to pass through the House of Assembly, the Senate, you know, first reading, second reading, and the presidency will look at it. Then after that, then the policy would have some adjustment or change. Things that change that do not pass necessarily through the law are basically maybe some guidelines, and those are not fundamental changes. So I do not see things changing remarkably or incredibly or dramatically, even if the government changes. So I'll move on to the next question. So Larry, this question is for you. So this one says, how do I know the correct outstanding balance of my savings? The last one I received is lesser by 1 million naira plus. Please let me know the accurate outstanding balance.
Okay, your balance. So if I'm sure you're referring to the SMS that you're receiving. So if that's the case, your SMS is sent as at a particular point in time. So I recall, I think maybe sometime in July that you got 2 SMS. There's some we sent 2 SMS. One was to capture your contribution or your balance as at 30th of June, and there was another one that was meant for your contribution that came in the month of July. So the reason why that came up, or that you were saying that difference, is because of the time differences. So one is actually referring to 30th of July, whatever you have in your account, when the other contribution had not been credited to your accounts in July. So as a result, you will not be seeing it will seem as though there's a gap. So if one at any point in time that you want to know what's in your account, you can actually log into our ARM Engage either on your phone if you have the app, or if you don't have the app, you can actually log into our website and use the web version. Log in and you can always get your up-to-date, current or real-time statements from our website. You can download if you want to download, or if you want to just check your balance, you can always do all of that. The other channels that you can use to interact with us, by the time we go to the next session, we'll also tell you more. But for now, even while we are on this call, you can quickly just log into the ARM Engage if you have the app, or you can just log in via the the web version on our website, and you can check and know your actual balance as of today. So I hope that is clear.
Now for the session that everybody's been waiting for. Our regulators are here. Mr. Sholade Seun from National Pension Commission will be giving us an update. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to join you live now. Just like Ben said, we had some technical issues. That's why I couldn't take my paper as at when I was supposed to. But I give God the glory. Everything is good. And first of all, I want to send across the Acting Director General of the National Pension Commission's greetings to this gathering. She sends well wishes. So my job here is to just give us an update, give us some of the current happenings within the pension industry. And I would like to come with the first one that I know will gladden a lot of people, and that's on the transfer window. A lot of questions in the since the inception of this scheme has been on as to when the transfer window is going to come up live. And I'm very glad to tell you now that the Commission has been working, round the clock to ensure that before the end of this year, the window will become open. Technically, it will become operational, the transfer clearing system. That's what it's called. With that, the RFA holders that are wishing to move from one PFA to another will have that opportunity to do so. That needs to be communicated, via all media possible for all stakeholders to be aware. So let's be hopeful. Again, I would like to bring out our attention because of the period that we are in now, to tell us that the usual yearly enrollment and verification exercise conducted by the National Pension Commission will be done in a slightly different, method starting from this year. The Commission has actually involved the PFAs because they are even the ones that are closest to their clients. Either so, is the National Pension Commission that does the enrollment of this. Applies to would-be retirees in the Treasury-funded agencies of the federal government. What is done normally is that a year prior to the retirement of the Treasury-funded workers in the federal establishments, the National Pension Commission tries to get data in terms of their work records and all that by conducting an enrollment and verification exercise. And the data is used to plan for what we call the accrued right. That's the past benefits that they may have rendered prior to the commencement of this scheme in 2004. So it's put into the budgeting process of the federal government so that a budgetary allocation can be made for them and released when they are due to retire. So now the PFAs will be owning that process. So the PFAs are already going through some of the trainings that is required so that now it's going to be easier for would-be retirees to even get enrolled. Instead of coming to some dedicated centers, maybe about 6 of them around the country, anybody that wants to enroll can go to the nearest PFA branch, that is is our PFA. So that's coming up. It's just to do us a heads up on that. The PFAs, I'm sure, will communicate to their clients on this. Again, looking at the accrued right that I just mentioned, a lot of people are concerned about the delays in payment of accrued rights. It's been delayed for some months, for people that have retired, pertaining to the treasury funded agencies, the retirees in the treasury funded agencies, very concerned about the delays. Now the federal government, because the commission has been pushing for the federal government to release some funds. Recently, the federal government released about 14.9 naira. It's just part of what the government's liability is in terms of accrued rights, and that will cover for another 4 months, and it will take care of retirees that have retired up to September 2019. So technically, we still have about a year, gap to be filled by the federal government. But the commission is really working with the government, and the issue we have is that the economic situation of the country, even globally, there are a lot of economic challenges that countries are facing. So the federal government is really finding it a bit difficult. But that notwithstanding, the government is going to come through to ensure that, okay, the arrears are cleared in no too time in the future. Again, the commission recently published some new guidelines, and these guidelines is good for us to update ourselves by going to the commission's website to see some of the recent developments. Like I'm telling you now, a lot of up-to-date developments are there. You can always check the commission's website, which is www.pencom.gov. That's gov.ng. Let me take that once again. The website for the National Pension Commission is pencom.gov.ng. So you can always check up on anything, whether it's guidelines, regulations, and the news that's even going on within the industry. So recently, there was a revised regulation on retiree life annuity. I'm glad Ayo mentioned, that was the paper he presented on retirement benefits. So you can look at some of the guidelines that, really regulate that particular process. So that has been revised and is posted on the website. There's also the guidelines on group life insurance policy for employees, and also the guideline on contributory pension scheme retiree pack. All these are on the website, so we can, update ourselves on that. And again, keeping to what I mentioned too in terms of the selling and the marketing that's been on in the industry. The National Pension Commission and the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, both signed recently an MOU to see to a stoppage of this unethical acts by operators of both industries. Because, I can speak for the industry where I work in, the pension industry, because I work with the regulatory body, and I know, just like others have mentioned, that we are very strict in terms of enforcing all our regulations. So we don't take service delivery and other issues lightly. So we ensure that our PFAs, the operators, behave up to the best ethical standards that is expected of them. And of course, ARM is one of them. So we can talk of this side of the divide. But on the other side, we've seen a lot of incursions in terms of these unethical practices. So that's why the commission, the National Pension Commission, invited a sister organization and regulator, the National Insurance Commission, to really see how we can, push
to the barest minimum, if not totally eradicate this issue of demarketing. And going forward, I think we're going to see a better practice from operators within the industry. So that's a good one. Again, let me bring up the issue of the review of the Pension Reform Act, PRA 2014. As you are all aware, the Pension Act, the scheme, the contributory pension scheme, was brought into force by the enactment of the Pension Reform Act of 2004. Now, 10 years down the line, in 2014, there was a review because change is constant. We need to get feedbacks from stakeholders and see how you can tweak, the process here. So there was a review in 2014, and we now have that Pension Reform Act 2014, which repealed the Pension Reform Act 2004. And as we speak, up to now, the Pension Reform Act 2014 is still in force. Now, there is another process of reviewing the Pension Reform Act 2014, which is ongoing. The major stakeholders have been invited to bring their submissions to see areas within the provisions of the law that they may want to see reviewed, and that's still ongoing. And this is going to be open to the individual, stakeholders too, the general public. There's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be a hearing very soon, and then even as individuals, we may make use of the channels that is available to us to reach the Commission. You can send your submissions and suggestions via the email of the Commission. The email of the Commission is info at pencom.gov.ng. Again, let me repeat that. Info at pencom.gov.ng. So you can always make your submissions through that means, if it's convenient, or through any other means. And again, the National Pension Commission, in its bid to ensure adequate, enhancement of the pension literacy and understanding of the provisions of the Pension Reform Act, has actually updated and published the 3rd edition of the frequently asked questions. This is also available on the website of the Commission. So the frequently asked questions would easily answer most of the concerns and questions that a lot of the stakeholders would have on the workings of the contributory pension scheme. So even if you don't have to necessarily call the Commission or maybe go to your PFA, you can just study some of these questions and the answers provided, and you'll be properly informed. So those are some of the things that the Commission is doing to ensure that the literacy in terms of the pension and the industry itself is enhanced amongst stakeholders. And finally, let me say again that the Commission has organizations that we call the recovery agents that go after organizations that default in the remittances of pension contributions. Because we have a lot of complaints. Some individuals come to complain that their organizations are not remitting their pension contributions even after deducting from their emolument. So to tell you that the Commission is not just sitting and not paying constantly, we employed the recovery agents that go after such employers, and such employers are given demand notices to ask them to pay up, even with interest, on whatever areas they have that they have not remitted. So I want to tell the House that, okay, so far the recovery agents have recovered over 16 billion naira, which has been paid directly into the retirement savings accounts of the respected RSA holders, respective RSA holders, I mean. So that's one of the things that the Commission is doing. So without taking so much more of our time, I think those are some of the updates that I think time will permit to discuss with you. But like I said, you can always check the website of the National Pension Commission for more information in whatever form that you want. Thank you very much, and I think Benga, you can take it over from there.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Shola. We're particularly very glad to have you in this session. We're happy that at short notice you're able to attend. So hopefully if we call you again, you'll be able again to help us provide this clarity to customers and everybody that decides to tune in. Right now, I'll be calling on Lola, who will be taking you through how to reach us. And immediately after Lola, we'll do 5 Q&A before we finally round up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benga. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon once again. We hope you found the session very enlightening and very useful. Very quickly, I will just share with us some of our touch points and channels whereby you can communicate with us. For those of you who are still not comfortable going out, we have a couple of alternate channels by which you can reach us, if it's for your benefit payments, if it's to complete your data recapture, if it's just to call in to ask 1 or 2 questions. Our telephone numbers are available between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So you can reach us on 01271 5000 or 0700 call ARM. We also have a WhatsApp platform. We recently launched that platform, and a good number of our customers have been engaging us via that platform. We're also able to receive your application documents, your request to update your accounts via that platform as well. So please feel free to also reach us via that channel. We have deployed a chatbot. You can also speak to us via Jane on our website or on Facebook. You can reach us via any of those channels. If you wish to monitor your account, you can also do that via ARM Engage, either our mobile app version, or you can also just go in through our website. It's armengage.com. You can reach us via that platform. We also have our USSD channels, *597# and *7737# as well. You can monitor your accounts, make any request you want via those platforms. For employers also here on this session, you can also make remittances on behalf of your employees from the comfort of your offices or your home. On the screen, you can see the bank details, our sort code. For those of you who wish to do payments online, and if you're comfortable going into the bank as well, you can also do that. Yes. Once payments have been made, please send your schedules to us. We have also displayed the email addresses for you to be able to send your schedules to us as well. For our micro pension clients, you can also make payments at your convenience. On the screen as well, you can see the channels whereby you can make payments to us via any of these channels. So please feel free to reach us at any time. Our offices are also opened. If you would wish to walk in and interact with us, we're happy to receive you. So thank you very much, and over to you, Benga.
Thank you very much, Lola, for the details on how to reach us. Larry Durowoju will be reading out a few questions that have been asked and providing detailed information and answers to those questions, after which we'll be handing over for the close. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Benga. So I'll just pick a few questions and provide some answers just as we begin to round up. There was a question or a comment somebody dropped earlier regarding the URL for the, I guess that should be for the WIT. Says that it just shows loading after completing all the questionnaire. I think you should just refresh your browser and probably just do that again. I just tested it myself, and it's up. So you can just refresh your browser and do that again. Sorry, apologies for any inconvenience in that regard. All right, so I'll just move to the next question. There's a question regarding AVC, that's the tax exemption on AVC. So this person is asking, it's 5 years from last contribution or from the last. So from the explanation we gave earlier, the tax exemption is actually on the contribution itself. That is, once you make the contribution, let's say we're in September right now. So if you make this contribution, say 100,000, the tax for you to gain or to effectively gain that tax exemption that is on that particular contribution, you have to leave this contribution until the end of September 2025. If you are going to withdraw the contingent portion of that 100,000 between now and before September 2025, then you are going to pay the tax that you have previously enjoyed as at the time of contributing it. So it's actually on the contribution itself, and there's no real reference as to whether the last time you withdraw from your account, or so it's actually on that particular contribution. So, and it's going to be cumulative, such that by the time you want to apply in September 2025, all the contributions prior to September 2020 that you have made would have also qualified, since they've got 5 years in your account. Otherwise, if any subsequent ones that has not stayed up to 5 years would actually be subject to tax withdrawal. So I would take another question. This is from Victor. Says, at what point can someone make withdrawal on the money machine? Okay, I don't know what money machine means, but I mean I want to believe you are referring to your retirement savings account. And secondly, why is it that it's difficult for ARM to allow customers to access 50% funds immediately after retirement instead of 25% that amounts to nothing? Thirdly, I hope 50% withdrawal at age 57 above is implemented by the law. So essentially, from what we have also said on the withdrawal option, at the time of retirement, you are entitled to a lump sum, and that lump sum is actually a residual of your balance after taking care of what your monthly pension is supposed to be. So he had explained that the amount that you get as your monthly pension should be as close as possible to 50% of your monthly emolument. And there's a provision that needs to be made from what you have as your current balance. Whatever is left after then, if it's up to the maximum of 50%, yes, you can take it. And if it's not up to that 50% in that instance, then you will get something that is lesser than that. So it's not, ARM does not, in fact, the industry, what ARM is doing is not because we came up with our own template. PENCOM has actually given all PFAs a template to compute these benefits as at the time of retirement. So, and that is even one of the essence, the reasons why we also forward these payment templates to them for approval. If there's any wrong computation, they would have actually returned it to us or reject such application. So essentially, you are entitled to between 25 to 50%. What would interest you to know is that by the time we make provision for the pension element, there are some people that probably they wouldn't even have gotten any lump sum in the first place because of the small balance relative to the high salary at the time of retirement. But because the law says that you should still get at least that 50%, so the template will automatically drop at least 25%. So the template will automatically make a provision for that 25%, especially when the balance is not as large to be able to accommodate the 50%. So the 50% or 25% is not fixed. It's going to vary based on all those parameters that Ayo has mentioned earlier. That's your RSA balance at the time of retirement, your age at the time of retirement, your emoluments, that's from your salary, as well as whether you are male or female. So those 4 things essentially play out as to whether you will get a lump, a 25% or whatever percent. It can be between, it can be 30%, it can be 35%, it can be 49%, but the maximum that anybody can get is 50% based on all those parameters that I mentioned earlier. So I will just invite, as we come to the end of this session, so I'll just invite our head of business development to just round up this session for us by giving us our closing remarks. So I will invite Mrs. Moronke Bangbala.
Thank you very much, everyone. I trust that we had an insight. I hope it was educative. I want to apologize. We should have ended this at about 12:30, but because we had some technical issues, that's why we had to extend it. Thank you very much. At the end of the day, after now, we will be sending the slide and recording. I've seen, quite a number of us asking if we're going to send the slide and the recording. Yes, we shall send it to your email addresses. And please continue to reach out to us if you have any further questions and queries. If there are any questions that we haven't been able to answer at this forum, we would also be sending you the Q&A, so that for the benefit of everybody, all the questions will be answered and we will send them across as well. So thank you. Have a very good and God bless everyone for